And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the PondCast. The PondCast episode number 83, your weekly dose of all things StarCraft. I'm, of course, your side VIP. With me, I'm joined by Kuro handling the production, and, of course, by all the lovely people in the chat as well. Welcome, one all, to our weekly catch-up show here, wrap-up show, news show here of all things StarCraft and StarCraft adjacent. A lot has been going on, even some recent news announced just before we went live as well. A lot to discuss. Up first, though, we have an interview. We have another interview here done by the SC Historian held over at EWC last year. So a big shout out to the SC Historian once again for producing another interview here, delving in and covering and catching players and now also some talent as well, and kind of getting a better glimpse of, some of their backstory, what they've been up to, and what to look forward to in the future as well. So great to hear from Kaelaris. Honestly, this was a really, I don't know if I want to say important, but it was a really fascinating, really exciting interview to me, at least, especially as a bit of an older school viewer of StarCraft. It's kind of crazy just because of how long StarCraft has been around and how many years it's been around, of course. There have been like these waves of players and these wave of viewers as well, and we did get a big influx of viewers during the COVID era of StarCraft, who missed Wings of Liberty, who missed Heart of the Swarm, who missed early Legacy of the Void as well. Legacy was already out a couple of years, like a decent chunk of years actually, before COVID. So because of that, there's actually a lot of people that maybe aren't as familiar with Kaelaris. As an older school fan and viewer, I was happy to see him here, of course, still part of StarCraft, and being interviewed. For those that don't remember, Kaelaris, of course, he was one of the OG casters, and we delve into his backstory here, getting into gaming, getting into casting for the first time as well. So really cool to hear that backstory, a backstory that I was unfamiliar with, as I haven't heard much of Kaelaris' interviews in the past. But for those who remember, he was a big part of WCS Europe, the WCS European Premier League, of course. He was the casting duo alongside Apollo and Kaelaris. They were the two duos. The way that it worked we had Artosis and Tasteless over in Korea. We had Wolf and Calder alongside them as well, also as their own duo. We had Nathanius and Rotterdam as Notre Dame over in the Americas, and then we had Apollo alongside Kaelaris covering the European region. And Kaelaris, he was a long time caster, right? He put in a lot of time, a lot of efforts, a lot of casting, a lot of games were covered by Kaelaris back in the day, especially in the European region. And I can't exactly pinpoint the moment, but there was a moment in time where Kaelaris, he started to step away from casting and he started taking this more hosting role. Where he started hosting a lot more. I think part of it was also, of course, when Apollo stopped casting. If you recall, I guess it happened all at once, where Apollo, he stepped into the producer role. Stepped into the role of producing the show and being a part of the behind-the-scenes talent instead, kind of organizing and running the show instead of being on-screen talent. So Apollo kind of rose up in that kind of direction and took that kind of opportunity, and Kaelaris was left without his co-caster, right? And I want to say he still did a little bit more casting after that, but that also, it feels like in my memory that kind of coincided with his, deviation away from casting and towards hosting instead. I will say that this interview didn't actually touch on that kind of period in time and what kind of prompted that. The interview did touch on him branching out into other esports and other games, but they didn't really. Kaelaris didn't really speak too much on his transition away from casting and into more of a hosting job instead, which I feel like was a pretty pivotal moment for Kaelaris, just because he was casting for so long. I do think that he does a really good job hosting. Don't get me wrong, really, really good job hosting, and it's a little bit, it's a little bit interesting to kind of hear and to see from his perspective, like how things change, other games that he went to as well, like Heroes of the Storm, like PUBG, which he's a bigger part of nowadays as well, and now he stepped away a little bit more from casting. Something that I found really interesting that I didn't really think about, but I guess it kind of makes sense, especially if you are as big as Kaelaris, or if you want to make this your career and you're trying to excel and you're trying to grow. He spoke about one of the reasons why he switched or why he tried out other games was because he actually name dropped Tastosis, which I was a little bit surprised by, just because I didn't think that he'd be that specific about it. But he mentioned how, because he's in the same kind of scene and the same kind of environment as a casting duo like Artosis and Tasteless, and because they're so big and because they get everything, especially if you're unfamiliar with StarCraft, like especially Legacy coming into pre-COVID as well. Tasteless and Artosis, they would cast, they'd be invited to all the big major events. It was controversial when they didn't get invited to IM Katowice, if you recall, that one year. There was a lot of drama behind the scenes and they had something to say about that as well in regards to payment and in regards to all of that and how much they wanted. But when it comes to BlizzCon, for a good amount of time, I'm pretty sure Artosis and Tasteless casted every single finals, like every single BlizzCon finals. Like they were the ones that it was always going to be them, that sort of thing. Like that's how big they were. Of course, GSL was the biggest Premier League out there as well, bigger than WCS Americas, bigger than WCS Europe as well, especially before the rise of the European talent. So we spoke about how trying to grow as a caster and trying to grow as in your career, it felt quite limiting being in the same space as Tastosis because they're so overbearing, and there's such a big kind of entity in the scene. So the idea of branching out into other esports to try to get a little bit more experience and get a little bit more notoriety and just get a little bit more out of it, at least in Kaelaris' mind, like that was kind of like the go-to, and hence branching out into Heroes, into PUBG, into some of these other games as well. I wish the interview did delve a little bit more into, I mentioned before, into his step away from the role of casting and stepping into the role of hosting, and kind of what that was like, and if he ever wanted to cast again or miss casting StarCraft, or what his thoughts were on that transition and on his return. I bring that up especially because I was really surprised, because this is something a lot of people in the StarCraft scene are notorious for, myself included, is with Kaelaris stepping away from casting and having less of a role in StarCraft. The assumption is that he's less interested in it. I remember that Ben, the Muslim, he said the same thing about how because he started focusing on Age of Empires and he started focusing on other esports, everyone just assumed that he wasn't interested in StarCraft anymore. But apparently he was, right? He stopped getting called and he stopped getting, opportunities in StarCraft, even though he was very much so interested, but because he was kind of branching out into something else. And it was similar here with Kaelaris, where kind of the assumption was that he's not casting anymore, he's doing other games, other things, maybe he's become a little bit more disillusioned with the game, like some other casters out there. That was my assumption, at least. But that's why it was a really big surprise, and again, it's a bit of a shame that this wasn't brought up, when he sponsored KSRS, the Kaelaris Steadfast Roddy Cup. I was very surprised when that happened. I was like, whoa, like Kaelaris, he's funding a weekly? Like that caught me off guard. Like I remember speaking on this during the PondCast when the KSRC was first announced. For those that don't remember, the KSRC was the original Monday Night Weekly. By that I mean when the ESL Pro Tour ended, when the EPT circuit came to a conclusion, and when we had to fill in the void for all these open cups, we had the Void TV Mondays, we had the Sparkling Tuna Cups, we had the Pigasaur Cups, or back then it was the Ursasaurus Cup, and before Monday Night Weekly, which was the European Weekly, we had the KSRS, which is the Kaelaris Steadfast Roddy Cup, the KSRC, so I should say, KSRC. So yeah, I was just really surprised to see that Kaelaris gave money to that and actually helped when it comes to the online weekly scene. And I would have loved to have heard specifically as to the rationale behind that, how he felt about that, especially because he wasn't casting it, right? Like he was just sponsoring it, basically, was sponsoring it. And I would have loved to have heard a little bit more about that decision, about his thoughts about the Open Cups and the thought process behind that, especially that time period post ESL Pro Tour. Especially even like that era, of course. I believe he was asked about the Saudi acquisition of ESL, and he was asked about that, and there was like a brief response regarding that as well. But it would have been nice to have heard about about his thoughts about EPT, the ESL Pro Tour, the conclusion of that as well. I'm sure he would have had some better insights. It would have been nice to have heard about. It's difficult to really approach the subject. It would have been nice to have heard a little bit about Apollo. I just spoke about him in Apollo. He's very much so outside of the limelight nowadays. Like he's very there's not really much public information about him because he's not a public figure anymore. And obviously, it's awkward to ask about someone else when it comes to an interview like this. But it would have been nice to have heard maybe a little bit about that, just a little bit, like a little bit of a tease regarding that, or even just like a question asking something adjacent to that, like what it's like, casting for so long with someone, then having that person step away from casting. Where does that put you, right? Like, as someone that was a part of a duo with your second half, with your other half now gone, like how did that affect you as a caster? And was that like a big reason as to why you stopped casting and why you started hosting instead? How did that feel? Like, how was it casting with some of the other talent instead? And did you mesh well with everyone else? Or it would have been nice to have heard a little bit more from that. Regardless, the interview does go into, of course, his introduction into gaming, his introduction into esports. Was a really interesting story to hear about his accolades in World of Warcraft and in Warhammer as well, and getting into StarCraft and getting into the esport and traveling the world and going to Europe. It was really nice to definitely hear that kind of foundation, that backstory when it comes to Kaelaris. That I will say, the SE historian did a great job at kind of like setting all of that up, laying all that foundation for the subject, for the interviewee, for Kaelaris, 100%. And of course, I also understand that that you're quite limited when it comes to how much time you have with someone and how much time you can spend on an interview as well. So when it comes to the questions that were asked, of course, I'm very grateful of them, and I'm very grateful for hearing, again, a little bit more of that insight in regards to Kaelaris. I think during the interview as well, he even said that he was even tempted to open up some replays and cast again, which again also caught me off guard. I'm like, because again, as from the outside looking in, I had the assumption that he's stepped away from casting and he was done with casting. But clearly, the fact that he devoted money and time and energy into the Open Cups and even discussing it here, clearly that's not the case. Clearly, StarCraft holds a greater place in Kaelaris. He holds it to greater esteem or something, and yeah, it's interesting to see, interesting to hear, and I would love to see what comes of Kaelaris in the future. Again, just because he's been a part of StarCraft for so long, and in my mind, it felt like he was kind of stepping away a little bit, but maybe that's not the case. Maybe not. Once again, though, this interview is a little bit dated. It's a little bit dated in the sense that obviously this interview was held during EWC, which was good amount of time last year, which was 6 months ago, more than 6 months ago at this point. But it was great to hear nonetheless. Because of that, there are some talks here talking about the future of EWC, the future of StarCraft, and what that has to hold. And again, that some of those questions, some of those answers are a little bit dated nowadays. Again, I understand that right after EWC we had SE for All. Right, SE for All did take place, so there was a lot going on there, and I'm sure the SE historian had a lot on his plate to focus on that, of course. But regardless, it was great to hear from Kaelaris, and great to hear from him once again. And I hope that's not the last we hear from him either. Again, it was great to hear one of the old veterans of StarCraft. I don't know if Kura has anything else to add in regards to
I don't know if you mentioned it, but what do you think about what Kaelaris said when he was asked, what if there is an EWC, what has to change in the scene? And his response was have you seen the scene? We already have community organizing stuff. Nothing has to change. We just have to do stuff that we're already doing. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, sure. Obviously, that's missing the whole aspect right now of a greater circuit, right? Of a greater circuit that people are hoping to bring together. If you recall, I want to say it was at the start of the year, we spoke about how the importance of crowdfunding and how successful crowdfunding has been, and how important it is for someone to try to come together and try to organize something greater and try to unify a bunch of these events. I know that publicly the SE Boy has spoken about how they're looking to run more events with NetEase, and how they're willing to run more events and willing to even host the grand finals as well. So I do think that that comment kind of missed part of the bigger picture when it comes to trying to unify and trying to create our own circuit. I do think there's still work to be done there. So I do feel like that comment kind of missed a little bit as to the hole that's going to be left once EWC leaves. But overall, like Kaelaris is correct in the sense that there is a lot of StarCraft going on. I think we spoke about this last time about there were some people even last year that were like, "Yo, when EWC ends, and if it stops doing StarCraft, like what does that mean to you?" It's like, well, we cast StarCraft 2 times a day every day. Literally none of that would change. like when I think about what we cast, right? Our tournaments, Tuna Cups, Turtle Tussles, our amateur events, when it comes to StarCraft Evolution, when it comes to the Woody TV Mondays, or Monday Night Weeklies, or Pegasus Cups, or the OC events, or what else comes to mind? Even like Middle VK's tournaments. Like literally, like our schedule would not change at all. We have to adjust our schedule. We have to try to maneuver around something like EWC or DreamHack. But when it comes to like how much StarCraft is going on, it's still very much so an active scene, and there's still a lot of StarCraft to be had. Obviously, without a big event like EWC or like DreamHack, it does make it more difficult for players to decide to commit and play full time. 100%, that does hurt the players quite a bit. When it comes to the casters and content creators, I feel like nothing really changes for them when it comes to like their personal streams and the content that we bring to the viewers as well. Like that's still going to be ongoing, of course. Like that side of things, sure. But yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens, of course. And there's a lot of work to be done. And I think we even spoke about it at the start of the year how, January was so busy for us in a different way, and we couldn't really focus on StarCraft a lot. And hopefully coming into March, we're able to try to like lock in and try to organize stuff ourselves as well if we need to try to help bring some things together and try to make them be a little bit more cohesive. We'll do our best, of course. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting comment from Kaelaris. I do think there was, again, it was like mostly true, but also kind of missing like some of the bigger picture as to what people are trying to bring together. The interview also brought forth, of course, the LAN that was happening in Krakow, and it was a little bit sad to hear that Kaelaris couldn't go there, that he was still, at
I remember he
EWC
specifically like as like the event was announced on social media, he was like, "Oh, great, oh, the date." Like I remember he was like posting like on Twitter or X and stuff like about how this is like the specific weekend that he cannot go, and of course that's when the events are.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, maybe for the next one, hopefully Kaelaris can be there. Because I remember he never went to House, right? The House Galactic Battle. Did he go to the last one? Maybe.
I don't think so. Like at least he wasn't like on stream or anything.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it, but.
Yeah, the thing is, he literally lives in Krakow, as far as, like around Krakow. So like that's literally like his hometown right now. So yeah.
So less of a reason not to be there. True. He should be there for the next one. He should. Hopefully.
Sure, he will. I mean, he said that he would like to. Like if they organize the next one, he'll probably go there.
It just depends on his schedule.
Yeah,
depends
exactly.
on the schedule, and hopefully everything does line up. But yeah, again, it was really cool to hear from Kaelaris again. It was really interesting to hear that again the passion is still there for StarCraft, and potentially, maybe some more casting opportunities in the future for him. It's hard to say. Once again, I do wish that we maybe had delved a little bit more into that when it comes to Kaelaris and when it comes to this interview, and his role away from casting. Even when it comes to PUBG, I don't even know. In my mind, he's the host there as well, but I don't follow him in PUBG. Maybe he's a caster. Maybe he also does cast that. Hard to say. But yeah, it was great to hear, regardless. And I'm curious to see if the SC Historian has more interviews from EWC. If so, I'm sure we're going to be seeing them soon. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of potential at EWC to get words and to get interviews with a bunch of people. If you recall, he had an interview with Lambo, with Rogue, with Clem, and Classic Hero, with most of the players. Like they were very heavily player focused. But there was obviously a lot of talent and a lot of casters at the event as well. So this might be the beginning, right? This might be the beginning of another line of interviews that are coming out. Better late than never, is what I will say. And if there are more to come, I look forward to them for sure. Do look forward to them. But otherwise, that leads us into our next bit of content here. Shout out to Basilisk once again. They have been organizing these EWC analysis videos. Hey, speaking of better late than never, like, it came out yesterday, actually. It came out yesterday. Cyril giving some analysis on his final series versus Classic, the grand finals of EWC. Again, he has gone over some of his previous matches in the group stage and in the playoff bracket as well. Raynor had also gone over some of his matches. So we do have some analysis from both Raynor and from Cyril with their own respective games. So it was interesting to hear from their perspective, going over their own games and their own matches. Obviously, it's far removed after the fact, after the tournament itself. So there were some things that Cyril couldn't quite recall or couldn't quite remember when it comes to the vetoes or when it comes to certain decision making, just because it happened so long ago. But it's great to hear nonetheless. My criticism here is probably the same as last time, in that I do think that Cyril and Raynor have a really nice dynamic, and especially for analysis videos like this, I do think it's beneficial for them to be in a call together, because they often do actually pose each other questions, sometimes in a joking manner, sometimes not, but like it's a little bit easier for a conversation and for a video to be made when you have someone else to play off of, someone they have good chemistry with, just because especially Cyril, like he's not like a very social person, he's not like a very talkative person, so the video itself is a little bit more dry, and there are times where maybe there's not much to be said, or maybe there are some points that could be expanded upon, but he kind of glosses over them. So that's the one thing that I would say, is that I do think it would be a really good idea if they brought on, whether it's Raynor or whether it's Rotterdam. I would say not Trigger. Like, Trigger's similar to Cyril, where where I feel like if you don't prompt him with something, then he'll probably stay a little bit more reserved and keep things a little bit more to himself for the most part. I feel like you need someone to help open him up.
I always say that Trigger is a very special case, because Trigger is like generally like both in person as well. Like, I've seen him at events, it's the same in person. Yeah. He's a very quiet person, but when he says something, he's sharp, okay? Like, it's not that he doesn't have like sense of humor. So, no, he does. It's just he usually doesn't say anything until he does. It's very specific.
Yeah. Cyril's very similar as well. Like that's why I would want to pair them up with someone that can hopefully have them open up a little bit more and get them a little bit more comfortable to have like more of a back and forth dynamic. So that's the one thing that I will say regarding these analysis videos. The analysis is fine for what it is. It's solid. There are definitely some games where he's like, there's not much to it. Like, it's just a standard game, you know, scout at this, we respond, we react. But regardless, it is great to hear from Cyril. I do appreciate that content is being made. This is one of the unique things about Basilisk that I do appreciate. It's not very common for teams to go the extra mile and to create content for their players, but Basilisk, they do it every now and then. Shopify do it every now and then. Team Vitality do it every now and then. So we do appreciate whenever it does happen, and I hope to see more of this in the future. Not just covering these EWC games. Of course, EWC is the biggest event of the year, makes sense, but even some other games, like maybe like Home Story Cup games as well. Obviously, don't make this too common, but every now and then it would be nice to kind of like hear from the players, I should say. So if you want to check out Cyril's analysis, the video is there over on Basilisk's YouTube channel, and likewise he has analysis videos on previous EWC matches as well. And again, Raynor also has some of those analysis videos, and I think Trigger might have one as well. I can't quite recall in regards to Trigger, but I know that both Raynor and Cyril do have that available there, so you can check it out.
Also, chat asking if Raynor is the guy to, like, you know, bring more energy to this, and I would say yes. But the banter between Raynor and Cyril is special. If you don't believe me, then check out the Portal playthrough.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you may be unfamiliar, right? I guess to briefly mention, Raynor and Cyril, they have a Portal playthrough on the Basilisk YouTube channel, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun hearing them have that banter. Again, they're good friends, and their interactions are always great. They're always a lot of fun. So yes, they're good friends. They have the Portal playthrough, playing co-op together, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing more content with the two of them in the future as well. I'm sure we'll see it. But with that leads us into our next bit of news here. StarCraft adjacent, we had Geekenders actually have a special guest on their show. The Geekenders, of course, they are a weekly podcast, a weekly talk show, and they brought on Bill Robert. He is an ex-Blizzard employee. He's actually a co-founder of Blizzard and actually did work on StarCraft alongside Warcraft and Diablo. Warcraft, Diablo, and StarCraft back in the day, and they brought him on. Definitely caught me off guard. Geekenders, they usually focus a lot more on other content creators, other casters. Of course, it's Jesse and Dodger. They have their own ties in StarCraft, of course. Dodger used to sponsor StarCraft events back in the day. If you remember, Dodger has a coffee company, and I believe she used to sponsor some of Total Biscuit's Shoutcraft tournaments back in the day. So likewise, again, she had her own ties in StarCraft. Jesse, likewise as well. He actually ended up creating his own Heroes of the Storm esports team. That was a little bit after the fact. But yeah, they brought on Bill Roper, and it was really interesting to hear some tidbits and some fun little stories regarding Blizzard back in the day and regarding the kind of production and the creation of some of their original IPs and some of their internal thoughts and their internal struggles as well in regards to the earlier years of Blizzard Entertainment. Of course, pre-Activision, of course, bear that in mind. Some of the I will say though that this wasn't an interview. I should preface that. I thought it was coming into it, but it was more like they had him on as a guest and they just talked more general, gaming news and gaming things. But every now and then, like, he did kind of open up a little bit regarding, some of his time and his tenure at Blizzard. One of the big things which was interesting to me, which I hadn't heard of, was that he spoke about, how they worked on developing StarCraft back in the day, and apparently early on, StarCraft was not StarCraft. StarCraft was actually a Star Wars RTS, which I was not fully aware of. Apparently, this was revealed a couple of years ago, actually, by Bill Roper on a different panel. It was on a panel a couple of years ago called like The Secrets of Blizzard or something, where they had ex-Blizzard employees and they kind of went a little bit more in detail and into specifics as to some of the things back in the day. But apparently Lucasfilm, they did actually license, or they were in talks with Blizzard about a Star Wars RTS, and they were originally working on that. They're working together. Everything was going well. They were kind of creating all these models and creating like this of course, this world, this game. And then apparently what had happened was a different game came out. It was called, I think it's called like the Yoda, it's like called the Yoda desktop game or something. Basically a Yoda game came out during this time, and it bombed pretty hard. It got a lot of negative reviews. It did really, really poorly. And after that happened, George Lucas, he actually pulled the plug. He pulled the plug on all licensing deals that were currently ongoing, just because that did so poorly. There was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction from Lucasfilm and from George himself, and being like, okay, no, we're gonna like we're gonna put a halt to everything. We're gonna have a bit of a deeper look as to what's going on here and who we're actually licensing our IP out to, because this did not go well, and we don't want things to go too badly again, and we don't want the Star Wars name to be dragged through the dirt, for example, with some bad decisions. So because that happened, they pulled the plug and they stopped working with Blizzard. It was very unfortunate, but again, that did happen. And Bill Roper, he mentioned that because they had already put so much work into the Star Wars RTS, they were like, you know what, let's do something of this, right? Let's make something of this, and then let's create our own world, our own universe, and that's when they created StarCraft. Of course, heavily inspired by Warhammer, for example, and Aliens and other sci-fi entities and IPs back then and back in the day. Of course, they did inspire that, but originally it was meant to be a Star Wars RTS, did eventually turn into StarCraft instead, which is really cool to hear. Like, again, I hadn't necessarily heard that story or heard that side of things before, so it was really cool to hear some of that insight. He also spoke a little bit more about the company itself, about their successes when it comes to StarCraft, Warcraft. He spoke about how they wanted to, after working on Warcraft 1, 2, and working on the Warcraft IP, they wanted to take a break from fantasy, and they wanted to go the opposite direction and work on something sci-fi related, which is why they got into talks with Lucasfilm. He also spoke about how back then, there was this idea that Blizzard had that the next big step, the next big thing for them was to work on another existing IP and be licensed by a bigger company to make something like, with something with Lucasfilm or something with Disney or again, like some bigger existing IP, and have them kind of like have them work with you to create another bigger game instead of making something themselves. Like like back then in their mind, that was kind of like the thought process and the thought going into it. In the end, of course, they continued making their own games, but they still like that kind of. He spoke about how that led into like the Mr. T commercial that they made for World of Warcraft. It led into some of the collaborations that they had at BlizzCon, if you remember, with I want to say, did they have like Led Zeppelin, or they had like some I want to say like BlizzCon after BlizzCon after BlizzCon, like they had like these big band names, of course, like working with them and performing at BlizzCon itself, and that was like a big part of that as well. Just kind of like working with these existing entities, of course. But he delved a little bit more into that before eventually he did end up leaving in 2003. But yeah, it was really cool to kind of like hear kind of that backstory, and he also kind of gave his own insight in regards to the current gaming space, the current gaming like atmosphere. Gave a little bit of perspective when it comes to game development, and kind of giving some perspective of like indie games, and even like touching on. He didn't specifically touch on Stormgate, but there are definitely like things that he said that you can kind of apply to what happened at Stormgate as well, in regards to funding, in regards to size of company, in regards to how resources are spent, and what you kind of used to as well, like as a game developer. So it was really cool to hear. It was definitely really cool to hear from him. Again, just to reiterate, like this was not an interview. He was more of a guest, but he did have some insights to provide, and there were like some little gems that were kind of like sprinkled throughout as well. Which was really cool. OG peeps talking about StarCraft. True. Exactly. But that leads us into our next bit of news. So again, do recommend checking it out. Do recommend checking out Geekenders and Bill Roper, one of the old ex-Blizzard co-founders and employees and game developers. That leads us into our next bit of news. A little bit unfortunate here regarding CSO Esports. CSO Esports, they've been a team that have been around for quite some time. They're a relatively new team. I say new team, it ages us. I said the same thing about Exxon. It's like, oh, Exxon's relatively new, came out, during COVID. And then it's like, oh, that was 6 years ago. It's like, oh, not like this. Not like this. CSO Esports, likewise, also relatively new, also founded in 2020, like Exxon, also, during COVID, essentially. Crazy to think that it's been 6 years. But they did announce that they're going to be stepping away from StarCraft. It's a bit of a shame. Like they've been of course supporting players, and they've been running a lot of events. They've been running not weeklies, but like semi-regular tournaments as well, supporting the scene, supporting players. They even used to run amateur events, if you recall. They used to run amateur events back in the day as well, like CSO, like Masters tournaments and things of that nature. Like they devoted a lot of time, a lot of passion, a lot of energy to StarCraft. But looks like they are looking to take a step back from StarCraft 2. Which definitely does hurt. Definitely is a big blow. We actually casted one of their ex-players today. UD Soldier, who used to be on CSO Esports. Rostock as well comes to mind. Replicant as well, like the European CIS region, definitely was supported quite a bit by CSO. So it is a shame, definitely, to hear. Right now, there's just less for them to compete in, and I'm sure like the environment is a little bit more difficult as well. So it is definitely a shame. They have let all their players go. Their previous squad was BattleNet, F2 Click, Replicant, Rostock, The World, and UD Soldier. Again, very like CIS region based, and a lot of really strong players as well. Like UD Soldier, Replicant, two very, very good players, like in like the more middle of the road, or kind of like the middling like European scene. And definitely have a lot of potential as well. Rostock is also a bit of a newer player that has a lot of potential alongside them. So I hope that they're able to continue to compete and continue to improve, and I hope they're able to find a nice place to call home. But best of luck to CSO in their endeavors in potentially other esports and other games. So it is sad to see them go. Up next, we do have Ladder Legends and Masterclasses. Ladder Legends, they've been promoting quite a lot of themselves. They even sponsor the SC Historian. They've been hosting tournaments, of course, recently. They've been partnering with a bunch of players. And speaking of partnering, we do have a masterclass being set up on February the 20th. I mean, actually already passed, actually.
Yeah, this already happened,
So
but what
I
I wanted...
guess it already happened.
Yeah, what
so
I wanted to point out is that Ladder Legend has a lot of like coaches that are like permanently, you know, helping the players that are there for the sessions. But recently, it seems like they started also to like invite guests for like specific sessions. If you want to like, oh, do you want to like talk to Rain, or do you want to ask him a question? Like stuff like that has been their new content that they release.
Yeah. So they had a masterclass, a Rainer masterclass that was on February the 23rd, where you could ask him questions, where he kind of went through his builds, I would imagine, builds even, went through kind of like his thought process and strategy when it comes to certain matchups. So really cool to see Rainer doing this again. This is not the first time this has happened, by the way. I still remember this was, oh God, it would have been so long ago. This would have been 2022? 2022, I think around 2022. Rainer did something similar where he actually jumped onto the All Things Zerg Discord server. There, of course, there's All Things Protoss, Terran, and Zerg when it comes to Reddits, and they all have their Discord servers. And there was a night or a couple of nights where Rainer, he hopped on with all the other Zerg players, and he gave something very similar to this. He gave a masterclass, and I remember Chappie was a part of that. Like Chappie, he was a student, I should say. Learning from the best, learning from Rainer. I think Alasia was a part of that as well. But yeah, like this has happened in the past in the All Things Zerg Discord server, and really cool to see that happening here as well many years later. Ladder Legends taking the initiative to organize and to host something like this. So really cool to see, really cool to hear. And yeah, I'm sure there's definitely a lot worth learning there, especially if you're out there, if you want to learn StarCraft, or even if you have like some questions for players. Keep an eye out on the Ladder Legends social medias, because I'm sure this is not the last time they're going to be organizing a masterclass like this. I'm sure they'll have one for Protoss. I'm sure they'll have one for Terran as well at some point. I'm sure they'll be doing more of this in the future. So just bear that in mind. That leads us into our next big piece of news. That is going to be PigFest. PigFest, of course, has been ongoing, and we'll be going over some of the results of PigFest soon. Do not fret, as we are part of that. But it looks like we have some show matches that are going to be taking place as well. We have some Cyril versus Amanda show matches, which I think are taking place right now, actually. True.
I would like to point out...
I believe they're taking place.
They are taking place. I would like to point out that this is not Cyril versus Mana.
Mm-hmm. Oh, true. Yeah. This is a Twitch Plays holdout challenge. So I believe first is Mana, then Cyril, but I believe the plan is to have viewers jump into the ring to play against both Cyril and Mana, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So it looks like there is going to be a handicap. It looks like both Cyril and Mana are going to be killing some of their own workers initially, so they'll be starting with a lower drone count. And again, viewers are going to be able to jump in and compete and challenge both Mana and Cyril to some 1v1s. There you go. So best of luck. Best of luck to all the challengers, and best of luck to Mana and Cyril as well, as I'm sure it's not going to be easy, especially when it comes to the amount of games that are going to be had, right? Like, again, it is usually like an endurance test as well, as you have a sea of players just going at both Mana and Cyril. Best of luck. Best of luck, buddy. Best of luck. That's really cool to see. Meanwhile, that leads us into our next piece of news that was also announced a couple of hours ago, and that is the RSL Season 4 Fan Votes winners are in. The voting has concluded, the tally is done, and we have our 3 confirmed players invited into the RSL through the fan vote. That is going to be 2 Terrans and a Protoss. That's going to be Clem, SOS, and Maru. Interesting lineup of players that made it through here. What I mean by that is, if you remember, for the previous season, for the previous editions of RSL, the fan votes always had a criteria, and that was that you couldn't vote on someone unless they competed and played in the qualifiers. That kind of like made them eligible to be voted on after the qualifiers ended by the patrons. And if you remember, that makes sense for SOS, right? SOS did play in the qualifiers. He did not make it through. He played in both the Americas and Korean qualifiers. Didn't make it through. He got voted in. Something that I am very personally disappointed by is that Clem and Maru were also eligible to be voted on, even though they did not play in the qualifiers. They were not a part of the qualifiers. Clem didn't even play in the last season, in the last year of RSL. Maru did. Maru, he was a part of the offline qualifiers for the LAN event that they had in the previous season. So you can maybe argue that maybe that's why they got Maru in. But Clem, he wasn't a part of RSL. So it's a bit of a shame that, like, I say a bit of a shame. Obviously, Clem and Maru, they're some of the best players in the world. And they're good people, of course, as well. Like big fan. But it is a bit of a shame that something that was meant to be giving an opportunity for those who put the time and effort into competing and participating in the qualifiers, that was meant to give them another opportunity to actually be a part of the event, is being taken away from them by suddenly having Clem and Maru being inserted into potential, into potential options for voting, whereas otherwise they would be ineligible to be picked picked. In my mind, I would imagine that the organizers of RSL most likely just got in contact, found out that Clem and Maru are willing to play, they missed the qualifiers, and so they were able to put them apart and to have them be a part of the fan votes. It wasn't like they made it open to anyone. Otherwise, we would have seen like Cyril, for example, or some of the other top players. Like, no, not at all. I think it's specifically they probably got in contact. They confirmed that Maru and Clem are willing to play. They just didn't play in the qualifiers, and then they inserted them into the fan voting option. Which again, in my mind, is a shame because you're taking opportunities away from players that actually went for the qualifiers, actually competed, they actually tried, whereas Clem and Maru didn't. Yeah, personally, I'm not very happy with this decision. I'm not really happy with them adding them to the voting options. Obviously, it's still a fan vote, and then they were voted in by the people, of course. But I feel like they probably shouldn't have been a part of the. They probably shouldn't have been options to begin with. So it is a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame. Overall, it will still make for a better event just because they are really strong players. They're literally the top 2 Terran players in the world. So it will make for a better tournament, but it does again take opportunities away from others. And yeah, it's a weird decision. It's a weird one, but it's their decision to make. Oh, so sorry, I was being Twitch chat. They're telling Mana what to do. Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's why it's
I
called
see.
Twitch Plays.
I thought it was Twitch plays against, but it's Twitch
No.
playing
Twitch
as.
plays.
Okay.
Twitch plays Mana, and then they do 1v1 versus Sarah.
Ah, I see. Oh, okay. So they're still doing the 1v1 versus Cyril, but they're not doing the 1v1 with Mana. Interesting.
No. I mean, to be fair, Mana has a lot of climbing ladder, Templars only kind of content. So I feel like that kind of fits with his channel.
For sure. Interesting that they're doing something different with the two of them. So my apologies. What I said earlier still applies to Cyril, but doesn't apply to Mana. Apparently for Mana, it is specifically that they're kind of like controlling in a way controlling Mana instead. Just in regards to the previous news. Otherwise, we have our confirmed players now for RSL Season 4. Again, is upsetting, and I would say, it was probably a bad decision to add, personally at least, to add Clem and Maru to the fan votes. But, of course, they did win the fan votes. They're now going to be a part of RSL Season 4 as well. And again, the will overall make for a better event. True, it will. Will make for a better event. Meanwhile, that leads us into our last big piece of news, and that is going to be the StarCraft map editor publishing is now finally live to the people, to the public. It has been, I think, 10 months. It's been a long time. It's been almost a year where we've been unable to upload and to edit and to update and to do anything regarding the arcade. For those that may be unaware, for those who have not been tuning in over the past year in regards to StarCraft news, this is something that was disabled in StarCraft. So basically, the arcade has been in lockdown for the past 10 months. The reasoning for this is because there were some people out there that were abusing the system and were uploading like snuff films and like torture videos and explicit content and some weird like Nazi propaganda. A lot of weird stuff was being uploaded to the StarCraft arcade. Eventually that did actually reach Blizzard that this was happening. As a reaction to that, they locked down the arcade to make sure that people couldn't upload to the arcade anymore.
I would like to point out that the issue was even more complicated than that, because it wasn't like, oh, they uploaded a map that had these specific things. Like, they could insert it into like other maps that were already there, and that's why it was that big issue, because you didn't know when you're stepping on a landmine, essentially.
Yeah. That it could be like inserted into said maps, so like unknowingly people could end up like watching some really weird stuff. So because of that, they just locked down the arcade, and they've been working on it for almost a year at this point, in regards to trying to fix the issue and trying to rectify what was going on. Because this, of course, this did negatively impact the arcade scene in regards to StarCraft Evolution, map makers as well. Basically, we couldn't upload or update any maps or any mods or anything to the arcade. This did negatively impact big arcade communities and mod communities. Because of that, we did see a big switch and a big switch for KS2, for Character Survival, for example. A bunch of arcade like communities actually switched the Chinese client and to the Chinese server because everything was open. Once the Chinese server came back online a couple of months ago, back in November, it was updated and the arcade was working correctly there. So a bunch of people were creating Chinese accounts just to play their arcade maps and just to play those games over on the Chinese client instead. And it was just getting very messy. It was getting very, very messy, very disheartening, of course, especially with the next TLMC right around the corner when it comes to making maps and having people testing maps. Like, it was all just very, very difficult to kind of work with. You even had like patches trying to make some workarounds as well for his mod, for his tournaments. So it's been really rough, and because it lasted so long, there were definitely a bunch of people that were very disillusioned and were very doomer about it, that they would just never be fixed. But thankfully, finally, map publishing has been re-enabled, and the fix should be again, it should be working as intended at the moment. They do still say that if there are any malicious users, to report them, and then they'll be able to take action on that. So that's definitely something that's still going to be potentially an issue. Potentially, it's a weird comment. It's a weird kind of statement. But just because it makes it seem like maybe they didn't fix it, but I'm sure they have. But again, it sounds like they are, taking into account reportings, and they are looking at that as well to make sure that nothing crazy or nothing weird is going on. And what's important, of course, is that map publishing is now available, especially coming into the next TLMC. Like, it's going to be huge. So now it's going to be a little bit of a cleaner process coming into the Team Liquid map contest compared to last time. Likewise, on top of that, that does benefit, patches, tournaments. It benefits Kerrigan Survival. It benefits StarCraft Evolution. We haven't had an SE Evo patch in a long time. They've been waiting for this. I'm sure they've been cooking up a massive patch for their game mode as well. So finally, arcade is opening.
Do you miss the degenerate rushes? And like the 3 pages of an essay of the changes.
True. True. Look. Hyper One, he's had a year, okay? He's had a year to work on his writing, so I'm sure he'll fix it up. It'll be fine. Oh god. It'll be fine. But yeah, honestly, it's really huge. For those that are maybe more viewers of the StarCraft esport, then this is maybe something that kind of flew under the radar, but this has been negatively impacting the StarCraft arcade scene and just the greater StarCraft scene for a very, very long time. So great to see that it has finally been fixed. Big news. As that wraps up all of our news for the week, and now we can go over our tournaments. We can jump into Epic Land. Epic Land number 47 did take place over the weekend. A couple of days ago, of course. And this one was a little bit different here. We have been seeing a lot of players travel abroad to Epic Land ever since Geralt kind of broke the mold and did that first. Then we've had Geralt go there multiple times. Had Lorimbo travel alongside other players as well. I want to say Mixu also has gone there. So once again, we've had some players traveling. We had Sig from Sweden, we had Hino from France, and they both made their way all the way to the finals of Epic Land number 47. Again, Epic Land is a big LAN event happening in the UK, has been running for many, many years at this point, and has recently garnered some international kind of recognition and attention as well. So really cool to see. Hino, he made his way through the upper bracket. He took down Sig 3-0, took down Zion 3-2, went all the way to the ace match in the upper bracket finals before finally taking down Sig 4-0 in the grand finals. GG. Congratulations to Hino, our French Zerg player, for becoming our champion. GG, well played, congratulations. Again, when it comes to this event, I will say that this event seems a little bit smaller than usual. Epic Land usually has multiple group stages, and I'm not seeing some of the regulars here. Like, I'm not seeing, obviously Eva hasn't been there for actually a number of events, I want to say, but there's no Raza, there's no Zane either, there's no Redane. There's another player that I want to say his name starts with F. I have to hold on. I have to look back here for a moment. But yeah, this event seemed a little bit smaller than usual. Figaro, that's it. Figaro wasn't there either. Roscoe. So it did seem like a bit of a smaller epic land, and it did have a smaller prize pool for sure. But regardless, it's great to see this event still occur on a regular basis, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more epic lands in the future. And again, congratulations to Hino. Congratulations. GG, well played. Claiming first place. Este Hino. That leads us into Pigsty Festival number 7.0. Once again, we did go over some of the show matches and some of the funner events that are happening and that are going on at the moment as we speak. When it comes to the main event itself, the group stage has concluded. I want to say last time we were going over this, I think we were in the middle of Group A. I think Group A was taking place as we were hosting the podcast, but Group A did conclude. We had Maru coming out in first place, Shin in second. Ooh, I want to say I was favoring Maru and Classic, but Classic had a rough group here. He went down to Shin, he went down to Bonnie. That's a big surprise. And Classic, he got knocked out in first, or he was the first player to be knocked out. Ay, ay, ay. So brutal showing there for Classic. Classic is one of the best Protoss players in the world, but to not make it out of the group is a brutal performance. Brutal performance here, as there were definitely higher expectations from Classic. Congratulations to both Maru and Shin for making it through Group A. Group B, we had Clem and Solar. This was a little bit more as to be expected. We did predict both Clem and Solar to make it through. I was a little bit on the fence whether Zaun or Percival, whether the two of them, like, where would they be placed amongst each other. Zaun did come out in last place here, went down to Solar, went down to Percival, and then we had Clem coming out in first, 3-2 over Solar, Solar coming out in second place, 3-0 over Percival. A really clutch back and forth there, actually. Clem and Solar going all the way to the ace match. Very impressive showing there from Solar. Impressive. GG. GG, well played. Went all the way to the ace match. Clem does come out in first place. That leads us to Group C. We had Raynor, Hero, Cure, and Nightmare. Here we were expecting both Raynor and Hero to make it through, so no upsets this time. Cure had potential to upset. True, we did mention that. He had potential to maybe cause an upset and bring one of these players down. He did force Raynor to the ace match. True, did force him to the ace match, but he did struggle against Hero, as Hero did take down Cure 3-0. GG. GG, well played. That leads us into Group D. Group D, we also had the favorite players here, both Cyril and Showtime. Bjorn has been struggling a little bit more as of late, and of course Young Yakov is more of a younger up-and-comer. Yakov did take a map off of Showtime, but did go down to him in the losers match. Meanwhile, Showtime took down Bjorn 3-1 in the decider match to make it through into the playoffs. GG. GG, well played. So in the end, we have our top 8. We have our top 8 players. We have Maru, Clem, Cyril, Raynor, Solar, Shin, Hero, and Showtime. So we have our top players here. When it comes to the event itself, Jesus, pretty solid lineups. Mar versus Cyril is going to be amazing. We have Clem versus Raynor as well. Once again, they're facing off a little bit earlier in the tournament. Solar versus Hero, Shin versus Showtime. Oh my god, some really, really good matches here. It is going to be harder to call. I know that Maru's been doing really well as of late. Like, Maru has been doing surprisingly well. And there's definitely like a high that Maru's kind of rolling at the moment. I still do favor Cyril over Maru, but maybe I'm not giving Maru enough credit just because of his current form. So we'll see. We'll see. I feel like this is going to be a little bit telling as to how Maru compares to Cyril. I feel like at peak conditioning here, Cyril is going to be greater than Maru, but I know that Maru, he has been getting some really good results over the past couple of weeks. I know that has been the case, so I'm really excited to see them face off against each other. Really exciting. That's going to be tomorrow. Clem versus Raynor is always a lot of fun. I would say that Clem versus Raynor I enjoy more than Clem versus Cyril, even though I would say that Cyril is the best Zerg player in the world. Specifically against Clem, Raynor typically provides better games. Just because of their styles. Raynor is a little more active, a little more aggressive, and is even one that can overwhelm Clem when it comes to multitasking and when it comes to how much is happening at once. So it leads to a really dynamic back and forth. Cyril is different. Cyril, he's a little more standard and macro oriented, and he gives Clem a lot more freedom. Clem, he has a lot more freedom against Cyril and is able to gain a lot more momentum against Cyril typically, and Cyril does traditionally have a harder time against Clem. We saw that at Home Story Cup. We saw that in previous years at EWC. We've seen that time and time again. But I do think that these pairings are really good. And I do think the upper bracket quarterfinals are going to be amazing. Coming down to the lower brackets, here we have Solar versus Hero, Shin versus Showtime. I always have a really hard time kind of placing Shin. Like Shin, he's a very experimental player, which makes him a lot of fun, but it also makes him very unreliable. Like his performance is very shaky because of that. So I lean a little bit more towards the other players here, but I hope that Shin does well. I hope he does well. It's like my heart is with Shin, my head is with the others. So best of luck to Shin down there. Otherwise, obviously, I do have a lot of high hopes for Hero. I do favor Hero over Solar, over Shin, over Showtime. But some of these other players can definitely take it to Hero as well, as we saw in the group stage. So yeah, it's going to lead to a lot of good games, a lot of amazing matches. Look forward to it, as we're going to be crowning our champion in a couple of days. Again, this event will wrap up in 3 days' time. So by the time we hit the next podcast, we will have our champion for Pigsty number 7. Best of luck. Best of luck to all those involved. That leads us into the Wardy TV Winter Championship 2026. Another big event that, unfortunately, a lot of these broadcast days for Wardy's event have been clashing with Pig. So that's a bit of a shame. Thankfully, that's not the case with the playoffs. Thankfully, they're going to be avoiding each other. Pig is this weekend. Wardy is next week. Meanwhile, we have the group stage. Likewise, I believe we already covered Group A and Group B in regards to the groups, and now we can delve into C and D. Group C, we had Solar, Hero, Geralt, Shameless, and Percival. I remember that for this, we expected Hero and Solar to make it through, and for third place, I was leaning more towards Percival, but Percival actually made it out in last place. Percival with a bit of a rougher showing here. He did 2-0 Geralt, but only Geralt. He actually went down to Shameless, so he did fall to Shameless, did fall to all the other players as well. Geralt, he had a bit of a stronger showing here. He actually 2-1 Hero. Oh my god, a big win there for Geralt. He 2-1 Hero, and with that greater score over Shameless as well, Geralt, he did make it out in third place. So shout out to Geralt. Leads us into Group D. Group D, ooh, if you recall, I was expecting Bunny, Shin, and Trigger to make it through, but no. Here, Zaun actually outperformed. Impressive. It's surprising, actually. Oh my god. Quickly checking here. Zaun, he took down Trigger 2-1, did fall to Bunny, did take down Harsum, did take down Shin. This is also what I mentioned about Shin. He's very unreliable. Like, he excelled in the Pig event. Here, struggled a little bit more. When it comes to Trigger's matches, he took a map off of Zaun. He got 2-0'd by Bunny. He got 2-0'd by Shin. Bunny looking really strong here. If you recall, we actually saw Bunny excelling in the Pig event as well. Was I thinking about the Pig event? Yeah, with Bunny taking down Classic 2-0 and going to the ace match against Shin. So, like, Bunny did perform really well in the Pig event. Bunny performing here as well. It's surprising to me. Like, Bunny, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I typically do kind of rate Shin and Trigger a little bit higher than Bunny. So, yeah, really impressive results here out of Bunny, both in Pigsty and in the Wardy TV Championship, or the Winter Championship. So GG well played. Bunny coming out in first place, not dropping a single map in the group stage. And that creates our double elimination playoff brackets. This is a crazy huge bracket, by the way. Massive 16 players, double elimination. That is wild. And it's too early to call anything here, to be honest. Like, there are just so many players, there are so many variables coming to play here. I think very quickly at a glance, I'm expecting Clem versus Hero in the upper bracket finals. I do favor Hero over Yakov, Nickrat, and Classic in their portion of the brackets, but I can see Hero and Classic going either way, right? I do favor Hero, but Classic, he has the potential to bring him down as well. When it comes to Clem versus either of those two players, Classic does have a more recent winning record against Clem. Hero is more on the fence. It's going to be a good game, though. It's hard to call, but again, those are my expectations for the upper half of the bracket. Lower half, we have Max Pack, Spirit, Bunny, Rogue, Cure, Shin, Solar, Zaun. So this event is missing some players, actually, and I actually feel like the seeding... I mean, it's based on performances in the group stage, so, I mean, what can you do? Yeah, I feel like seeding here is a little bit messy, and I would say that the top players in this tournament are Classic, Hero, and Clem. Like, they're all in the same half of the bracket. That's crazy. They're all in the same half of the bracket. So it is brutal to see them all knocking each other out. Not saying that we don't have strong players in the lower half. We have Max, of course. We have Cure. We have Solar. We have some strong players here. But I typically look at Clem, Hero, and Classic to be a bit of a level above. So it's a little bit weird to see them all in the same half of the bracket. But best of luck to all the other players, of course. I do think I want to favor Max. I want to favor Max amongst those lower half players. But I can see, I mean, we've seen Cure defeat Max recently. We've seen Solar bring him down as well. I do think that Cure and Solar are going to be the biggest threats to Max. Maybe Rogue, maybe Bunny. Like Bunny, we saw him doing well in the group stage and in the previous event. So maybe there's some underdogs here. There's some dark horses that need to be watched, that have potential, that can upset. But it's always hard to call events like this because it is double elimination. So someone can get knocked out early, have a crazy comeback run, and then come back from the lower bracket. So anything can happen. Anything can and will happen. So GG, well played. Meanwhile, we have a massive piece of news. It has been years. It has been years since we've had the Wardy TV Team League. Was this technically the same as the SE Improved Team League, or was it distinctly different? Because I know that Wardy did organize both of them.
I honestly don't know. Like, I remember they were related, but I don't remember if it was like one turning into the other, or if they were like running simultaneously.
Let's see. Hold on. SE Improved Team League Wikipedia. Because they were both organized and run by Wardy. And let's have a look here. No shot. Did they rebrand this? They did. When did this happen? Did this happen recently? May 2025? Here. I'll show you the Wikipedia page. So this is the SE Improved Team League Season 2, which is the league that Wardy used to run. But if you look at the info box says Wardy TV Team League. So it looks like, obviously, it was originally called the SE Improved Team League. And I think all of them, until this point, have been the SE2 Improved Team League. But clearly, Wardy is rebranding it to the Wardy Team League.
No, it's only in the navigation. Yeah. It's in the navigation. So yeah, I think it was a rebrand, but like this is why this is like part of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it is a rebrand. So if you're familiar with the SE the StarCraft Improved Team League, it looks like Wardy did rebrand it as the Wardy TV Team League. It makes sense. Wardy used to have the brand of the SE Improve be a little bit more meaningful, but nowadays like that's kind of come and gone. So it's called the Wardy TV Team League instead. Oh boy. Okay, very quickly, let's read and let's catch up with this. I wasn't sure how many years it's been. We're about to confirm. The Wardy TV Team League returns after 6 years of hiatus. I still remember watching this. I remember editing the Wikipedia pages for this. So it has been a while. I didn't realize it's been 6 years, but I guess it makes sense. Like this basically did die out when the World Team League and when the Battle Chess Team League, when those began, right? When those kind of began, there was less of a reason for there to be an SE2 Improved Team League. And I also remember that this was just a really big hassle for Wardy, just because it took so much time and effort, right? It took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work got put into running these leagues. So I remember it just wasn't worth it for Wardy anymore. But for it to return, that is insane. And yeah, let's catch up with this. We stepped away from the Team League due to the rise of the Chinese Team League Championship. That is true, but also the Battle Chess Team League and all that stuff. Like there were other team leagues that were rising up, which is why this did eventually end. Which eventually became the World Team League, taking the main role of a team league in SE2. SE2 has changed a lot since it was the last Wardy TV Team League, and we are trying to approach the season in a way that allows us to have fun with the format despite the lack of teams in StarCraft 2. Okay, tell us the format, Pep. Tell us the format. We're extremely excited to welcome Crate Entertainment as the sponsor of the tournaments. This event will not be happening without them. Check out their awesome games such as Grim Dawn or Farthest Frontier. Oh, cool. They're the team behind Grim Dawn. Nice, nice. We have their prize pool. Team rules. For any established organizations that have a StarCraft 2 team, there are no restrictions for signing up as this team, though you will need a minimum of 3 players in order to participate. Now, very quickly before I get further into this, I do hope that they make use of the WTL format. Best of 2s were a lot of fun. They allowed for a lot of upsets. They made every game count, and they made players like snipers actually be even more impactful when it comes to the formats itself. When it comes to these team league matches, like I still remember Rex, sniping Cure, and Rex sniping Raynor, and Kaelaris sniping Clem, or was it Maru? Like Kaelaris, he sniped one of the big Terrans. It was either Maru or Clem. It's the Diego. I think it might have been Maru, but yeah, you can have like this crazy hyper specific sniper build, and if you can win one game, bam, like you've done your job. Like best of 2s mean that one game is that much more meaningful. So I do really like that format that WTL had. I hope that it is used here. We'll see. Any player officially part of your team is eligible to partake. New additions during the season after the first matches have started must be confirmed with our admin team. Cool. We will also be allowing players to combine themselves into a team just for the event, though there are some restrictions in this situation. Teams must have a designated leader to communicate with. Team must create a team name for the event. A team cannot have less than 3 players, but also may not have more than 4. It's a little bit odd that they are limiting the size of the team. Okay. It's kind of weird, but sure. I mean, I say it's kind of weird. In my mind, that rule is designed to incentivize more teams to be made, right? If you restrict the size and make sure that not too many players can join a team, you're forcing them, if they want to play, they're going to make a different team. I feel like that's the reasoning and the rationale behind that, which I think I can get behind. Team cannot have more than 2 players above 3K League Like rating from the February 4th League Like ranking. Huh. 3K, I believe 3K is top 16.
Yeah, something like that. I was gonna say that means Basilisk has to split.
No. Remember,
Is it only for the alliances?
This is only for custom teams. Yeah, only for custom teams.
Okay.
Like, teams that are already established, that already have their rosters, like
they don't have
fine.
the limitations.
There are no limitations on those.
Okay.
This is purely for teams that are created specific for this event. So Basilisks are fine. Hold on, let me just double check something here. So 3K League Like rating from February 4th. 3K is at top 16. 3K is, top 16. So top 16 players, you can only have 2 of each. Interesting. Fun fact, Oliveira is still in the top 16. Why is Oliveira still in the top 16 of a league? Like, what's going on?
Look, you can't lose points if you don't play.
I feel like, because in a league like you do become inactive, but I think they put him back on because he played in the show match, in the Legend show match. So that reactivated Oliveira on the league like, yeah. God damn it. Shaking my head. Interesting. Teams will have any prize money split. Are there any? Let's see. So Basilisk. So very quickly, actually, which teams have the advantage? The like advantage here. So Basilisk, they have obviously 3 players in the top 16. I think Liquid, they have 2. Yeah, Liquid have 2. T1 have 1, of course. System has 1. Vitality, do they have 3? I think they do. Yeah, they have Maru, Zan, and Solar. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Solar's not a part of that. Never mind. That's that too. Falcons, I think they only have 2. Yeah, they have Rogue and Solar. Bunny is not a part of the top 16.
I do have a fun fact for you. Solar is already signed up for the team league under another team. And you could not guess what the team is.
Hold on. Let me think. Before I get into the rest of the rules and the rest of the news. Okay. So first things first, you're telling me that Team Falcons are not signing up together. That's interesting. That's maybe foreboding that maybe something might happen with the team if they're not going to play together. That might be a sign of things to come. You're saying that he created a team, most likely with team lists or players that are on their own. I'm looking at Hero, right? Hero, he's on T1 by himself, so he would be an option. Who else is close to Solar? Like Solar, he's friends with Bjorn, but Bjorn wouldn't leave. Like he'd just play on Shopify, I would imagine, right? Who else do I think of when I think of Solar? I know he's close with a lot of foreigners, but the foreigners, a lot of them are on the same team together. Okay. I'm gonna. Is it like? Do they have a team name?
They do have a team name. Yes.
Is it like Protoss Hope, and it's like Solar surrounded by a hero and creator? Is that?
No.
No.
But good guess, but no.
Okay. My assumption is that Solar he's with hero and creator, but okay. Hold on. Let's see.
Time to reveal.
We're gonna jump forward on this one. You've already done it. Villains of SE2. Oh my god. Okay, villains of SE2. Solar, Percival, and Max Pax. Okay, interesting. Okay. I get it. Uh-huh. The most BM of the most BM players in SE2 joining forces. Oh no. Kappa. Interesting. We'll get back into the rules though. So again, they can't have any more than two players in the top 16 of a league lag. Teams will have any prize money spent evenly between the players on the team. Exceptions can be made to these rules can be made on a case-by-case basis, decided by the admin team. These are baseline rules to help ensure a fair playing field. Okay, I think one of the exceptions to the rule might even be that we'll see. Format. The event starts with a round-robin group stage. Depending on signups, we'll either host 1 or 2 groups. We may hold qualifiers depending on the signups, but this will be announced later. The aim is for teams to play around 5 round-robin matches in group stage before advancing to the elimination playoff bracket. Okay, match format will be best of 7 pro league format with 6 best of 1s. 6 best of 1s. Okay, so everyone plays twice. 4 games will be played as a 1v1 with 2 games being played as 2v2. Okay, this is something that I didn't get to mention. This is something that I wish was a part of WTL, but I do think the environment in StarCraft 2 now is so much more accepting of 2v2. Big shout out to Uthermal. Uthermal, he did an amazing job when it comes to just creating the league and incentivizing 2v2 play, but 2v2 is now probably in the best place it ever has been in the history of StarCraft in regards to just how seriously it's being taken, how many games are being played, and how the pro players and the pro scene is approaching 2v2. So I do like that 2v2 is being involved in the team league. All 6 predetermined games are played regardless of the score. Ooh, okay. So all games are played regardless of what happens. And all games are predetermined as well. Interesting. So I know that I said that I was hoping that they would do best of 2s. In my mind, I didn't think that they would go full pro league format with best of 1s. This is even better, I feel. Like this I like. I miss the pro league format. It's interesting that they're doing the best of 7 approach in the group stage, not the playoffs. If you remember, this is what they did during the playoffs, is best of 7s with revives. Here, not quite the same, but this does allow for a longer series. That is the big issue with best of 1s, is that if you had just like a regular best of 5 or a best of 7, a best of 5, like best of 1, and if you didn't have all games played, it can be a really short series. Really fast games, like non-stop rushes and all-ins. There's a very high chance of that happening. So you do run the risk of as a tournament organizer and as a broadcaster, you run the risk of a short series and a short casting day, which is a negative thing, if you don't force all games to be played. So this does make sense from that perspective. Even if it's going to be like a 6-0 in favor of one team, at least you get all 6 games played. At least you get a proper broadcast day. So it makes sense. Teams may not use the same player more than twice during all 1v1 games, except for, of course, the ace match. Oh, wait, this includes the ace match. Wait, what? Teams may not use the same player more than twice. during all one of you on the games of a match. This includes the ace match. Teams may not use the same 2v2 team more than once. So for each 2v2 must use a different player combination. Interesting. So this rule reminds me of the rule that we mentioned earlier regarding the size of teams and how they cannot have more than 4 players. Obviously, this 2v2 rule is for purely entertainment purposes. It's so you're forcing players to play 2v2 with multiple people to create different like scenarios and situations, and it's just purely for the health of the broadcast and the health of the show that's being portrayed. Okay. Playoffs will feature the same match formats, but games will be best of 3 instead of best of 1. Apart from the ace match, will remain a best of 1. See, I would have preferred if the playoffs would be best of 2 instead of best of 1. I'm less fond of the best of 3 in this format. As I mentioned before, I really like that in a best of 1 or in a best of 2, like one game matters that much more. For the playoffs to be a best of 3 instead is a little bit more boring, in my mind, in my opinion. It's a little bit more stale, unfortunately. But it's a little bit more stale, but at the same time, like it does mean that the better player wins. So you could argue that maybe it's a little bit more fair, it's a little bit more stable, but because that is more stale and more, less excitement, personally. But okay, best of 3 is the playoffs. And it looks like the tournament begins March 11th, and signups are open until March the 1st. So we got a couple more days left. We've got a couple more days of open signups for the teams. Can we cast it live? Probably not. But okay, let's go. All right, let's check out the Wikipedia page. So we have our rules down, and what teams do we have so far? We have Basilisk, we have Bing Bong Exports. Bing Bong Exports, that's going to be Azura. Who else is going to be Azura, Mutes, and Akedon. Yeah. Those are the 3 that come to mind. We have Onside. Question mark? I mean, it kind of like...
I think it's because of Cristiano. Because Cristiano is on onside and not on Vitality.
Yeah, I was going to say that Cristiano is on offside esports, so this is a way to combine Cristiano with the rest of the team. That does make sense. Assuming that they didn't want to create another team with Cristiano. I mean, offside, he could have played with Rex, and they could have, like, signed another player, just saying. Platinum Heroes, they have Art, Fiance, Gunner, Eva, Lelix, and Sebestus. Wait, Sebestus joined Platinum Heroes? Or I guess maybe just for this league? Because he's on Team Roddy. Wait, so was Fiance. Why didn't Team Roddy just make their own team? Huh? Okay. So this is a little bit deceiving. This is I wish that they had a different name. This should be like Platinum Roddy, or like, yeah, like Roddy Heroes or something. Because this is a combination of Platinum Heroes and Team Roddy, with Fiant and Sebestus. Interesting. Okay. So there's a combination team there. It's a sleeper team, but it's there. Shopify, regular lineup. Stanley Balls. I don't know if that means anything. Does that mean anything to you, Gopa?
No. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Yeah, here we got Gigi Machine, Nicorette, Shameless, and Young Yakov. We got the boys coming together. These are all like this is. I would have picked a better team for this, but this is basically like the OSC Rising Stars. Like that's who these guys are. That's who these guys are, except they're missing Percival. But like Gigi Machine, Nicorette, Shameless, Young Yakov, like these are like the OSC Elite Rising Star champions typically. Like this is like the step below like your Lambo or Skillus or Lambo, Skillus, Hero Marine, like Big Gabe. Like when it comes to the European region, like just below them, bam, you got these guys. You got Shameless, Young Yakov, Nicorette, Gigi Machine. Honestly, they're a pretty solid team. Then we have Team Liquid. We got Clem, Kira, Mana, Skillus. We got Villains of SE2, which is Max, Pax, Percival, and Solar. Honestly, that's a pretty hefty lineup here. They have a lot of potential as a team. I feel like they're missing Piotr. I feel like Piotr would fit in nicely there, to be honest, especially for the 2v2s, right? Like Max Pax and Piotr, like they are the best 2v2 team in the world. I think the Spirit would be a very nice addition to the Villains of SE2, and he's also a nice villain as well. He's so I think that's a missed opportunity.
Spirit would make a good villain, like in a movie.
He would.
He would just stay at you, not say anything.
Yes, he is the biggest villain. So, I mean, they might adjust their team, and maybe there's enough room for Piotr later, or maybe he's joining a different team or creating a different team. Other teams here that we expect Streamer Zone 100%. They're going to be fielding a team with like Geralt, SOS, Nightmare, and Jumi. So we should be seeing a Streamer Zone team at some point. Are there any other teams that come to mind? I mean, Team Falcons apparently are not going to be a thing here, which is a bit of a shame because they've got a roster of 3. Like they've got Bunny, they've got Solar, they've got Rogue, but they're not going to be a thing. Is Showtime a part of this? No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about people like Showtime and Hero? Like, would they get into some other team? Because they're like all
I would hope
single
that
players.
I would hope that they are able to make something happen, like Hero Marine, Big Gabe, Showtime, a Laser, right? Who else? Who else is like a solid free agent? Gumiho is still an active player. Like Gumiho's another player. Creator, we mentioned Creator. That's why I assumed that Creator and Hero would be with Solar. So Creator comes to mind. Who else? Classic is on Virtus Pro. He's also on his own. Classic would have been a good choice for a villain of SE2 for sure. I think Classic.
I don't know.
He would have also been a nice
He's
choice.
like the nicest guy around. I don't know.
He is a really nice guy, but he's misunderstood. No. Who else? Those are the players that come to mind. So Hero, Classic, Showtime, Big Gabe, Creator, Gumiho, Spirit. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of a lot of the players I just mentioned are top 16 in the world, by the way. Like they're top 16. So like a lot of those players are available. A lot of them are solid picks, and I hope that they're able to come together, unify, and create their own teams. That's the other thing, of course, is they have to have the initiative to do so. Otherwise, it will not be a part of this event. So I hope they're able to. I hope they're able to join forces and create their own lineups and create their own teams. Because I'm sure they'll have some fun matches. Sure they will. So I hope to see that we get some more combinations. We get some more teams coming together here. I see Classic as an anti-hero. That's why we get Classic and Hero on the same team. True.
I was gonna say, is this the time where I literally message Hero like, hey, there's a team league, do you want to play?
You should, because there's a very high chance he has no idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like I don't know how much like players follow this, and I like
they don't.
Like I would assume that Wordy probably like messages the players like himself, but I don't know how far that goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. So hopefully, they are made aware of this event and they're able to come together and join forces. And yeah, really cool to see that this event is going on. Of course, I'm sure that player cam is going to be a factor. Of course, there's going to be a lot of organization in regards to the event itself. There's a very low chance that this event is going to be open to community casters and community coverage. So if we do cover the events, most likely it will be via replays, if at all. Yeah, so regardless, though, it's going to be a fun event, and we'll be keeping an eye on it from the sidelines. We'll keep keeping an eye on it. That leads us into our next piece of news, of course. That leads us into apparently a StarCraft LAN. StarCraft LAN happening over in Iceland. Aye. Let's go. It looks like it's going to be both a Brood War and StarCraft 2 event. Looks like both are going to be taking place. Let me just quickly get through this. Okay, so we do have a StarCraft celebration being held Saturday the 7th. Okay, so March the 7th is going to be a big StarCraft event happening in Iceland. I don't know how large the event is going to be. In regards to prize pool, I should say. So I don't know how much international recognition it's going to receive. But apparently there's going to be a 2v2 portion of the event as well. It's going to be a 2v2 portion alongside just Brood War and StarCraft 2. So really cool to see. This kind of came out of the blue for me, and I don't know how big the scene is in Iceland, to be honest. Like, I hope there's some good signups. I hope that there's a lot of players.
I was genuinely shocked because I think I know like of maybe a single Icelandic player. I think I saw a flag once, but like that's very interesting that they're actually having their own land.
Yeah, and I hope they're able to fill it out, and I hope they're able to have a good showing at the event. I would hope that they would not run the event unless they believe that there was a scene to take advantage of and a scene to kind of bring together. So that's my only concern about this. Like, I don't know how many there are in Iceland that play StarCraft actively that are willing to compete in this. So best of luck. I hope they're able to fill out their brackets, to fill out their tournaments, and to host the events. But yes, hey, if you're listening, if you happen to be in Iceland or in maybe a nearby country that's willing to travel, there is an event happening in March, early March, March 7th, over in Iceland. Let's go. Apparently the event marks the 28th anniversary of the release of StarCraft. There you go. Let's go. So best of luck to those organizing. That leads us into, speaking of offline events, we have the StarCraft Madness. Platinum Esports. It looks like they are organizing an offline event, actually. Okay, they're going to be partnering with Basilisk. Who made this image? Who made this PNG? What is going on? Who made this Photoshop? Okay? What is happening? What is happening here?
So,
did Yaku make this?
Yeah. No, Yaku would make it in paint. Come on. Like, have some respect for Yaku art. But what I was gonna say,
draw it himself.
Yeah. But I was gonna say,
you know what? I'm gonna commission Yaku. I'm gonna save this image. I'm gonna show it to Yaku. I'm gonna commission a paint version.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Let's do it. But what I was gonna say is that apparently this is based on like college basketball that's happening in America. So there you go. If you know college basketball in America, you know what this means. I don't, unfortunately.
Jeez, it's 1,500. What? It's actually got a hefty prize pool. What the hell? So very quickly here. So March Madness is here, and so is the StarCraft Madness. This weekend, the weekend of March the 21st to 22nd, 2 days in 2026, there is going to be a big event happening over in Oklahoma. In the University of Oklahoma. It is a $1,500 prize pool sponsored by Basilisk. So it's got a solid prize pool, like bigger than Wardy events, like unironically. Solid prize pool, offline event happening in Oklahoma, in the university. So there's more directions to the event itself, and you can buy tickets to be a part of the event, and to head to the event. And yeah, honestly, really cool, really exciting. I hope they're able to spread the news about this event, and I hope they're able to get eyes on it and have people be a part of it. When it comes to these local events and these local tournaments, I said the same thing about the Oddscraft event that happened last year in Brisbane, and that no one was aware of. I would hope that, and I said the same thing about SC for All, I said the same thing about the Ursasaurus event in Canada. I would hope that they work with local talent. When I say local talent, local entities in StarCraft. So I'm thinking Fear Dragon, like relatively local. Obviously, the Americas is a big place, but if you can get in contact with someone like Zombergub or Fear Dragon, or like a local, or even... Salus in Canada, I guess. Canada's it's right next door. It's like, but getting contact with local caster, content creator, just entity in StarCraft to be able to help promote and work on the events, Tempo, for example, or whoever, just to help promote and just to help bring eyes to it and actually have a presence and actually get people's attention, right? Get people's attention to this event that's going on. Just because it's very out of the blue, it's very niche, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are completely unaware that this is happening.
To be fair, I
So
have
hope they're able
seen
to-
the StarCraft Madness being advertised on Discords for a while now, so they've done that at least. But I do agree they should reach out to like people to talk about it to their audience.
Local talent. They should reach out to local talents in the Americas, just so they can spread the word and potentially so that local talent can even go and be a part of the events and bring greater interest to the event itself. So best of luck. Best of luck to those at Platinum Esports, to those at Basilisk, to those working on the StarCraft Madness. And yes, I will send this over to Yako. God damn it. As it leads us over into the StarCraft Entertainment, oh Jesus, at the StarCraft 2 Entertainment Cup Chinese New Year. Jesus, what a name. No surprises here, but we have another Chinese event going on. Ooh, sponsored by NetEase with a massive prize pool. Jesus. It's a $3,600 USD, by the way. It was a 2-day event, the 21st and 22nd of February. Looks like celebrating Chinese New Year. And this is just an example of what we mentioned previously when discussing the Kaelaris interview. But clearly, SC Boy and NetEase, they've got a lot of money to work with. NetEase were the main sponsor. Again, almost $4,000 prize pool for a big solely Chinese event and a more of a celebration event as well. Looks like there was a co-op challenge. Looks like we had some team games, some arcade games. Like it was a celebration of StarCraft, and we had some top tier players involved. Oliveira was playing. Let's go. We had Oliveira playing in 2v2s. It looks like we had XY, we had Cyan, Jeshi, Maxed, F91 was playing, Xiaose was playing as well. Jeshi, yeah, like it was just a celebration of StarCraft and. Jesus, quite a prize pool as well. As I said, 2v2. Sorry, these were the co-op teams. So it looks like Max had played with XY. Oliveira played with. Is that Nanyo? No. Let's see. Oh, that's Saber. That's Saber. There you go. Oliveira played with Saber. Let's go. F91 played with Xiaose, Cyan with Jeshi. So yeah, it was just a bunch of like arcade games. It was a bunch of like co-op games as well. So yeah, it was just a fun celebratory event and with a hefty prize pool. Crazy. GG all played. Hope they had a great time. Hope they had a lot of fun, of course, as well. Really great to see the Chinese scene celebrating Chinese New Year together in StarCraft. Really cool to see. As that leads us into the next event, that leads us into the Patch Showdown, the Patch Clash Showdown number 5. I believe this may even be the final showdown. Remember, one of the reasons why we only have showdowns here instead of open cups is because of the limiting factor of the arcade. But with that limiting factor no longer being available or not being there, it does mean that we might see return of the Patch Clash open cups instead. Coming into the event, we had Shameless versus Special, we had J Money versus Bomyoja, Gunner versus Bratok, and Toon Dragon versus Roxas. Coming into those show matches, we had Gunner taking down Bratok 3-0. That's an upset. Whoa, Gunner is a good player, and Gunner has been improving. Gunner did hit GM not too long ago, but for Gunner to 3-0 Bratok, that is crazy. Okay. Big win there for Gunner. Meanwhile, J Money took down Bomyoja 3-1 in a best of 5. We had Shameless taking down a Special 3-2 as well. Big win there for Shameless, very impressive. Then we had Toon Dragon taking down Roxas 3-2. Also went all the way to the ace match. GG, well played. Really fun games. Bearing in mind, of course, that this is featured on a custom balance mod. True, it is a custom mod. So there's some crazy quirks and upgrades and just different matchups in general, different approaches in general. Likewise, on a custom map pool featuring more patches as maps, we have Washout, Lumen, and Rorschach added to the map pool as well. Let's go. Let us go. But really cool to see Toon Dragon again. Toon Dragon, he used to be a regular in our amateur events many years ago. Many years ago, Toon Dragon was around. I think he used to be on Alpha X. I think he did join Alpha X as well. So I haven't seen him as an active player in a very long time. So really cool to see him return, and I hope to see more of Toon Dragon in the future. Again, he's relatively local. You know, he's from Singapore. I would hope to see him sign up for some Sea Duckling Opens. Hope to see it. Esther Toon Dragon. And again, he used to be a regular a long time ago. That leads us into the Amateur League Weeklies. Amateur League Weekly number 151. Let's go. Bronze to platinum events. The Bronze to Platinum edition of the event, I should say, with the Initiate Weekly. Here we had some newer players I haven't seen before. I see Mondri the Man. I see Tidal Wave as well. So yeah, players that I haven't really seen in this event before, but they make it all the way to the finals. Tidal Wave takes down Mondri the Man 3-2 in the grand finals. GG, well played. Congratulations to Tidal Wave for claiming, I believe, his first Initiate Weekly. Congratulations. That leads us into the Veteran Weekly for Diamond 3 and Diamond 2. Here we did have Cyril. Cyril did make it all the way to the finals. Cyril takes down Revo 2-1, takes down Barks 2-0, takes down Chirico the second 2-1, and does take down Barks in the rematch. Ooh, went all the way to the finals though. Barks able to take the first two games, but then we had the reverse sweep out of Cyril. So congratulations to Cyril for claiming the win in the finals. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Cyril. I don't think it's his first win here. I do recognize his name from previous brackets, but congratulations. That leads us into the Prestige tournament for Diamond 1 to Masters 2. Here we did have Beast. Beast was able to advance on 2-0 over Medic Jr., took down Miss Crimson 2-0, did fall to Steez in the upper bracket finals. Got knocked down to the lower brackets where he was able to come back up for a rematch and once again went down, but went all the way to the ace match. Went all the way to game 5. Steez takes down Beast 3-2. GG. GG, well played. Steez does claim the series. Congratulations. That leads into the Elite Edition where we actually did have a series. Nickrak takes down Hatzel 3-0. Nickrak does claim the win. GG. We actually had a series. True. Congratulations to Nickrak for winning the Elite Edition. Again, these are regular weekly events. They're split up by MMR brackets. So if you're out there, if you want to compete, and if you don't want to play against top tier pro players, then Amateur League Weekly is the place to be. Speaking of amateur tournaments, that leads us into the Masters 1 Open. Masters 1 Open MSO number 100. Let's go. A big title event here. The first MSO of the year. Do apologize, as we've been, again, January was very, very busy for us. We were unavailable. We just weren't able to host our amateur events throughout January. But now we're back. Now we're back with MSO. Now we're back with SDO as well. Masters 1 Open, we had a massive bracket here, around 16, and we had some new players. We had some fresh faces. We had some regulars as well. Coming into the events, we did have a Beast. Hey, we just brought him up. Beast did take down Blue Knight 2-0, did take down Boreal 2-1, and face off against Ureha in the grand finals. Ureha taking down Roselia 2-1, and Beast 3-1 in the finals to become our MSO champion. GG, well played. Again, Kuro, of course, and Steel did cover said event. And again, this is a monthly tournament. Every single month, it is limited to 4.7k MMR and below. And this is our first of many MSOs to come in 2026. Again, do apologize for missing out on January, but now we should be smooth sailings here on a regular monthly basis. Should be back. That leads us into our Uthermal 2-2, the 2-2 circuit, bonus cup number 4. Oh, the bonus cups are coming to an end. I feel like the season is wrapping up quite quickly, actually. It's only running until May before the season finals. So yeah, it does feel like we're getting through the season relatively quickly here. But again, we did have some fresh pairings. This time there was no crazy rule set about like all random. There was no crazy shenanigans or anything like that. So we had a bit of a more stable bracket as a result. We had Laser and Showtime. Interesting pairing. Again, I feel like every week Showtime is someone different. He's the replacement man, Pat. True. But Laser and Showtime. So if you remember, traditionally a Laser would play with Skillus. It'd be a Laser and Skillus playing together, but Skillus was nowhere to be found. Instead, a Laser plays with Showtime, takes down Nickrat and Geralt 2-0, takes down Euthermal and Goblin 2-1, and takes down Lambo and Maxpax in the grand finals. Once again, an interesting pairing. Lambo and Maxpax, they do not often play together. Usually it's Maxpax with a Terran. Usually it's Maxpax with Spirit. But I don't see Piotr. I don't see Piotr in the brackets. No Spirit here. Was there a falling out? The drama. But in the end, Laser and Showtime, they come out on top 3-1 over Lambo and Maxpax. GG, well played. Congratulations to a Laser and Showtime for coming out on top. Congratulations. They do claim the win. That leads us into the Nation League. Nation League Season 7. I believe the group stage has now concluded. There we go. Week 3 did conclude. Coming into the group stage here, we did have Taiwan, Japan versus Peru. Went all the way to the ace match, 4-3 in favor of Taiwan and Japan. Eon took down Letos 2-0. Example and Mike Savage tied 1-1. We had Ame taking down Ming Ming 2-0, and then we had Example 1-0 over Mike Savage. GG. GG will play Taiwan, Hong Kong. Taiwan, Japan. They do claim the win over Peru. Meanwhile, that leads us into Hungary versus Bolivia. Hungary, we had Ibra and Endeavor tied 1-1. We had Milka taking down Galahad 2-0, and we had Winter and Havertz tied 1-1. In the end, Hungary do get the win over Bolivia. GG. GG, well played. That leads us into Group B. Group B, we had Ukraine versus Guatemala. We had Ilya and Sans. Sans Savior did have 2-0 in favor of Ilya. We had Set and Boreal tying 1-1. And we had Endro taking down Imba Secret 2-0. GG. GG, well played. In the end, Ukraine, they claim the win over Guatemala. That leads into Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan versus Germany. Krizakros takes down Wally 2-0. We had Ditya taking down Mac 2-0. And we had Wifuxus and Regal tied 1-1. In the end, Kazakhstan, they claim the win over Germany. GG, well played. With that means Group A and Group B have concluded their overall standings. We have Team Hungary going undefeated in first place. We have Taiwan and Japan coming out in second place, just underneath them, with the 2-1 scoreline. So congratulations to Hungary and Taiwan, Japan. Meanwhile, Group B, we had Kazakhstan coming out undefeated as well in first place, and we had Ukraine coming out in second place just below them. My condolences to Germany and Guatemala for not making it through. I had some higher hopes to Germany, but in the end, they barely did not quite make the cut. That leads us into Group B, into Group C. Into Group C, we did have a walkover win. Again, Ecuador did forfeit. They did forfeit, coming out in last place. Meanwhile, Poland went up against Italy 4-2. We had Lesker tied 1-1 with Trainals. We did have Pi and Centurion tied 1-1 as well. We had Inno taking down Garlard 2-0. So in the end, Poland, they barely do win 4-2 over Italy. And unfortunately, that doesn't quite make them allow them to make it through the group here. Unfortunately, it was very close. As you can see, Italy, Sweden, and Poland, we had a much closer scoreline here, 2-1. It came down to the map score. It came down, I believe, to the head-to-head between Poland and Sweden. Sweden did defeat Poland, so in the head-to-head, Sweden, they come out barely on top over Poland, despite being even in head-to-head, even in scoreline, even in maps. So they do come out on top of the head-to-head. GG well played. That leads us into Group D. We had Group D wrapping up. Costa Rica, they went up against the US of A. We had Amaterasu taking down Tonsi 2-1. We had Defiance taking down Neoshine 2-0. We had Wither taking down Make Jr. 2-0 as well. In the end, Costa Rica did claim the series over USA. Then had Brazil versus Czechia. We had a laser. we had a very different laser taking down Biri 1-1, tied 1-1, I should say. We had Kras taking down Rathak, and we had Arez and Majdi tied 1-1 as well. Brazil, they claimed the win. In my mind, Brazil was one of the favorite teams to win the entire tournaments. They do come out on top in first place without dropping a single series, so big win there for Brazil. Czechia come out in second.
By the way, I just want to. I keep forgetting to say that. I'm pretty sure that name is called Mighty. It's not Majdi. Just fun fact.
Majdi. Yes.
God
damn. With that, we have our playoffs, the playoff bracket seeded, and we have them set up here. They're going to be playing out their matches over the next couple of days. We have Hungary versus Czechia, Sweden versus Kazakhstan, Italy versus Ukraine, and Brazil versus Taiwan, Japan. Coming into this event, as I mentioned, Brazil, they're one of the stronger teams. I do expect them to go far in this event. I expect them to make it to the finals, or at least to the semis. So best of luck to Taiwan and Japan. Some of the other teams, though, I do have high hopes for Team Ukraine, for Team Kazakhstan as well. We've got some other big heavy hitters here. Hungary also did very well in the group stage. Best of luck. Best of luck to our teams. Best of luck to all of our players. As again, next time we catch up, we'll be able to cover the quarterfinals and see what the semis have in store for us. GG well played. Best of luck to all those competing in Nation League Season 7. Best of luck. That leads us into our regional events and show matches. Up first, we did have the Rookie Warpgate Invitational 2026 Winter Playoffs. I believe we went over the group stage last time. believe we had already gone over the group stage. Here we had our playoffs. Once again, for those that are unaware, Rookie Warpgate is an amateur team in the Chinese scene. So there are very few players here that you should recognize. I recognize Bukun, for example. I believe he's one of the admins for some of the other events. But outside of Bukun, outside of Stray as well, I was actually favoring Stray to win the entire tournament. Not gonna lie, I do have high hopes for Stray. Stray went down early. He went down to who? Hold on. Translate. Stray went down to Boogie Pop. No. Not Boogie. Okay, so Boogie Pop took down Stray 3-0, facing off against Glorium in the semifinals. We have BXCN up against who in the semis? Let's have a look here. Up against Shen Chen. Okay, up against Shen Chen in the semis as well. So again, a bunch of amateur players I'm not too familiar with here, but regardless, great to see the event taking place. Great to see Rookie Warpgate supporting the amateur scene in China. GG. GG, well played. Best of luck to all the other players as we get into semis and then the grand finals thereafter. That leads us into the SC2 Friends Cup 2026 February. Speaking of Chinese events, this is more catered towards the higher end of players. Here we have Oriana, we have Jolua Loves, we have Miki as well. We have, I believe, is that Nanyo? Un momento here. Oh, no, sorry, that's Xiafei. And in the end, I believe, did Nanyo take down Jolua Loves 2-1? I believe so. Yes. So Nanyo took down Jolo Loves 2-1 in the upper bracket semifinals. We then had Millennium Fox up against Xiafei in the upper bracket semifinals as well. I'm very surprised to see Xiafei taking down Millennium Fox 2-1. That's a big win. That's crazy. Like, again, I'm not very familiar with Xiafei. I'm not really familiar with him as a player. When we look at the Chinese scene and the Chinese region, there are so many. It's such a dense region. There are so many players. But Xiafei is one that doesn't really stand out to me. So really, really impressive showing to see him take down Millennium Fox and apparently defeat Nanyu. Was there a walkover win? It looks like Nanyu forfeited in the lower bracket. So it looks like, there are no scores inputted, but my assumption is because it was a forfeit in the lower bracket, there might have been a forfeit in the upper bracket. Because Nanyu should be the favorite player. 100%. Nanyu should be favored. But Nanyu goes down. We have the walkover win for Millennium Fox, and in the end, we have Xiafei over Millennium Fox 4-2. That's a big win. In a bracket with Oriana, with Millennium, with Nanyu, with Miki, with Joliwa, like, there's a lot of big names here. So to see Xiafei, who doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, by the way. No, sorry, he does, I guess. He now does have a Wikipedia page. Hold up. God damn it. It's Nanami Chiaki. God damn it.
Lovely.
And he has another name? Why does he have another name? Oh,
why do they have like 10 different... Okay, listen.
Oh, it's Nanami.
Why do they have 10 different names that they just keep using, like, exchangingly? Why? Okay, Bukun, if you're hearing this, we need to do something about this.
God damn it. That makes more sense. That makes so for those that are curious, the winner of this event, the ID on the Wikipedia there is Xiafei, but otherwise known as Nanami. Nanami Chiaki is a known player. Nanami Chiaki, now looking at the bracket, seeing that as Nanami, 100% his favorite player. Yeah, 100%. Even over Nanyu, Nanami Chiaki is the favorite player here. Is a bigger Protoss player in the Chinese region. For those who are unaware, it is very, very common, for whatever reason, that these different Chinese tournaments, they use different IDs for the same player. So like Silky, he has like 2-3 different IDs. We have Nanami Chiaki as well. We have Nanyu with different IDs. Like, they just mix and match either the Romanized like ID or like Chinese characters with a different name. Like, it's just, god damn it. So they just keep alternating. And this is Nanami. Okay. So congratulations. Shout out to Nanami Chiaki. GG well played, does claim the win. Again, now makes more sense. Nanami Chiaki is one of the more favored players, or is straight up the favorite player amongst all these players here. GG well played. Gets the win over Millennium Fox. Congratulations here to Nanami. SMH my head. God damn. I'll try to remember for next time. Try to remember. That leads us into Legacy Weekly Japan at number 492, Open Edition. We've almost hit 500. And do you see what I see, Kuppa? Tapioca.
No. Tapioca-sama.
Boba takes down Sayak 2-0, takes down Noah Shirayuki 2-0, and takes down Deadly Kitten 2-1 in the grand finals. Shout out to Deadly Kitten for taking a map off of Tapioca, but Tapioca is the best player in Japan and does assert himself once again here in the Legacy Weekly Japan. GG, well played. Went through all the big names. We are missing one player here, Vaisravanya. Vaisravanya is nowhere to be found. Vaisravanya, I would say, is the second best player in Japan, but was not a part of this event. Was not a part of this weekly, regardless. GG well played. Shout out to Tapioca. That leads us into the Basilisk Big Brain Bouts, number 107. Hey. Here we go. This time there was no qualifier. This time we just had some straight up show matches instead. We had the Basilisk one, the fun one, and the good one. We have Skills versus Rainer. We had Eon Blue versus Calm Horizons. And we had Mana versus Shameless. Here we go. In the first matchup, we had Eon Blue. Eon Blue takes down Calm Horizons 3-1. I'm very unfamiliar with Calm Horizons. Eon Blue, he is the best player in Germany. True. He should also be looking to sign up for the Wardy TV Team League as well. Yeah. He could lead Showtime and Big Gabe. He could do it. I believe. I believe so. Eon Blue takes on Calm Horizon 3-1. We then had Mana taking down Shameless 3-0. Yo, oh man, Mana still got it. Look at him go. Oh my god. 50-year-old Mana taking down 20-year-old Shameless or 18-year-old Shameless. Crazy. GG well played. Mana came to the series.
I always say it does sting a bit when you say 50-year-old, but when I'm like around the same age, I'm like, we're all old.
Smooch. Not like this. And I would say a crazy result here. Very unexpected. I would love to see the games. We had Nikita. We had Skillus taking down Rainer 3-0 in the Basilisk show match. That is crazy. Rainer is straight up top 2 Zerg player in the world. Skillus has been less active as of late. There was no off racing, by the way. So what the hell happened here? What happened in these games? That is a crazy showing and a strong performance here from Skillus. Very well done. Very well played. GG well played. I would imagine he adapted the hell out of Rainer. Oh. But GG well played. Congratulations to Nikita. That leads us into the OSC events for the week. First, we had OSC Elite Rising Star 17.5. This was the interim event where we featured our top players. Again, coming into this event, we imagined it was going to be Young Yakov versus Sheamus in the finals, and they did face off in those finals. What was surprising, though, was how one-sided the finals was. 3-0 in favor of Young Yakov. We often see Sheamus and Yakov go back and forth to game 4 to game 5 to the ace match, but not this time. This time, a much more dominant showing here. Yakov, he 3-0'd Jumi, and he 3-0'd Sheamus. But I want to give a special shout out to Minizerg, because even though Minizerg went down, he did take a map off of Shameless. Minizerg is a very, very young player. He's a newer player to the scene, to this level of play specifically. So for Minizerg to make it to top 4, very impressive. Very, very impressive. Did go down to Shameless, did go down to Jumi, but took down an Exorbital and Mute to get there. Took down some big names, some bigger names. Did cause some upsets on his road to the top 4. So very impressive play bit there by Minizerg. I look forward to seeing more of Minizerg in the future. I do look forward to it. Meanwhile, shout out to Jumi for coming in 3rd place, and of course, Shameless in 2nd, and Young Yakov in 1st place. Congratulations. Now, because Young Yakov won this event, that also means that he is ineligible for OSC Elite Rising Star. It means he has won too many of these in consecutive fashion, and that means coming to Rising Star number 18, Young Yakov, he is not eligible. That is why he is not a part of this bracket. That's why he's not a part of the player base. So here we go. We have our next OSC Elite Rising Star tournaments. We did cover day 1 earlier today, actually. We've got
to say,
we've got
Furaya Eddie, because the scores are not updated. So there you go.
Are they not updated on Shalon?
No, they're not.
Not. Okay. But in the end, we do have Arts, Creature, Hydra, Jumi, Lelix, Middle VK, Mute, Knight, Phoenix, Pappy, Rebellion, Sebestus, Shameless, and UD Soldier. We got 14 Protoss players stepping into the ring. We got 5 Terran, we got Baby Marine, Defiance, Inexorable, Milky Cow, and Moja. And we got 7 Zerg. We got Eon, Erebus Black, Gigi Machine, Hatsu, Iba, Mini Zerg, and Shino. Let us go. Whew, so it's a massive bracket. So we do have 26 players in total, double elimination, massive brackets. Long event here is ahead of us, of course. As you did mention, unfortunately, challenge isn't quite updated, but we did cover day 1 earlier this morning. Bearing in mind that no one's been eliminated, that players that have been taken down are going to be knocked down to the lower bracket. They have another chance to recover in this event. Now, coming into this event without Nicorette, without Percival, and without Young Yakov, I would say that Shameless is the heavy favorite. Shameless, he's the big dog. He's the big name in this tournament to bring down. There are some players here that can stop him. I'm thinking of Jumi. I'm thinking of Baby Marine. And I'm thinking of Gigi Machine. Like, those are the 3. Those are 3 challengers that come to mind that are the biggest threats to Shameless. Can anyone stop him? We'll find out. Who typically stops him? Percival, Nicorette, Young Yakov. They're the ones that typically stand in his way. They're not here. They're not here. They're not a part of this event. They've already risen. They've risen too much, Pappy. Risen too much. So they're not a part of this. What I will say... I just mentioned a player, by the way. I just mentioned Baby Marine, how he's one of the players that can threaten Shameless. He's in the lower bracket. We had a crazy upset, by the way. Again, I do recommend the VODs from this morning. We had a lot of aggression. We had a lot of all-ins. But we actually ended the broadcast with Shino versus Baby Marine. And Shino, the French Zerg player, he popped off. He actually knocked Baby Marine down to the lower bracket in a crazy turn of events. Again, Baby Marine, he was favored. He was favored to go far in this tournament, but Shino pops off. And it was really exciting, really cool to see, really exciting to see as well. Like, Shino, he's he's one of the younger players out there. He's also been around for a while, but he's still, like, in a sense, reaching this level of play and competing at this level in a bit of a more recent fashion compared to other players, compared to other veterans of the scene. So Shino, he maybe has a little bit less experience at this level of play, but despite that inexperience, or despite Shino still kind of rising through the ranks, for him to take down Baby Marine here was a pretty big deal. It was huge. It was massive. So really impressive showcase here, and crazy upset to knock Baby Marine down this early on in the tournament. And much love to Shino. Much love. He actually had some kind words for us as well. After the cast, after his matches, he showed up in the chat and did give us some kind words and some motivating words as well, talking about how, you know, our coverage of the event is something that does help motivate players and does help give incentive to players to compete, to improve, and to show better games and to have better performances. And it was very heartwarming. It was very, very heartwarming to hear, and much love to Shino. You know, best of luck to his upcoming games. And I mean, for him beating Baby Marine here, it's a big milestone. It's a big milestone, and I hope to see more of him in the future. We're having some breakout performances recently. I was giving praise to Mini Zerg earlier. I'm giving praise to Shino here as well. These are 2 players that, again, were not on anyone's radar a year ago, 2 years ago. So for them to suddenly start to spike up a little bit here in their play and their skill, I hope they're able to continue that. I hope they're able to continue to improve and to continue to rise up. Hope they can rise up here, especially because, like, Zerg talents hasn't really been much of a thing. Like, Eva's been the Zerg hope since he's been like 11 years old. Like, he's like, and then Eva, he switched to the dark side to Protoss for a while as well. Like, the Eva, you know, Mixu and Fiant, they're old now. You know, they've become disillusioned and have also kind of taken a bit of a break from some of these events as well. So it's great to see some up and coming talent in both Mini Zerg and Shino. Great to see. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. That also leads us into the OC King of the Hill. King of the Hill weekly number 238. Here we go. Here we had, I believe Percival was the reigning king. Let me just double check. No, it was Sheamus. Okay. Sheamus, he was unavailable to reprise his role, so we had a fresh set of players. We had Percival. Percival takes down Nickrak 2-0. Goes on a 2-game win streak, taking down Art as well. Percival falls to Ledalix. Oh my god, Ledalix out of left field. He's crazy. Takes down Percival. Takes down Gigi Machine. The hell? Crazy wins there by Ledalix. Both Percival and Gigi Machine, I would say, are rated higher than him, but that is the power of best of one. That's the power of best of one here. So big wins here for Ledalix, winning 3 games in a row before being knocked down by Shino. Hey, we just brought him up. Shino takes down Ledalix 1-0, takes out Mini Zerg 1-0 before falling to Geralt. Geralt just a 1-game win streak. Björn comes in and Björn goes on a tear. Björn takes down Geralt, Milky Cow, Shameless, Sebestes, Pappy, Jumi, and Inexorable. 7 wins in a row. Björn, he walks away with the most amount of prize money in this tournament, and he ends the night as the king of the hill. GG, well played. Congratulations to Björn, but a shout out to Ledlix, I would say, for having the biggest upsets, for beating both Percival and GG Machine. Like, that is still crazy. Like, that's a crazy result. And I'll be honest, that's more impressive than Björn's run. Like, because Björn, he's more favored, he's more expected to win his games and more expected to win his matches. For Ledlix to beat Percival and GG Machine, that is much more impressive in my eyes. Much more impressive. Crazy wins there. GG. GG, well played. And also a special shout out for Shino for stopping his run. True. Achieving what Percival and GG Machine could not. So GG, well played. As that leads us into our weekly Open Cups. That leads us into the Sparkling Tuna Cup, the STC Tuna Cup number 120. Coming into our Open Cup here, we had a lot of our regulars, of course, but we did have some surprising results here. Now, coming into this, Zaun was the number 1 seed of the tournament. He was the number 1 seed, and he came in, he 2-0'd GG Machine, and he went down in the semifinals to Shameless. Shameless takes down Percival 2-1. Shameless takes down Zaun 2-1 as well. Big win there for Shameless, but short-lived because Creator, he was going on his own tear. Took down Nickrak 2-1, took down Cristiano 2-1, and Shameless 3-1 in the grand finals. Congratulations to Creator. GG. GG, well played. Big win there for Creator. Does come out on top in this week's Tuna Cup. But I do want to give a special shout out for Shameless for being the one to knock Zaun out. Big win there for Shameless. That leads us into the Platinum Heroes Tour Season 26. Is that what that means? What's S26? Cup number 1. Gopa? Oh, right. 2026. Okay. I understand. It's a weird way of putting it, but God damn it. We were giving RSL a hard time for their naming structure of RSL Revival, but here, Platinum Heroes Soccer 2 Tour S26 usually means Season 26. I was very confused. But it's fine. So the first tournament, the first monthly of 2026, and we did have a lot of our regulars here once again. Oh my god, speaking of PvP, Jesus, so much Protoss. We had Creator. Creator takes down Jumi Tuo, Creator falls to Shameless this time. Shameless, he gets his revenge, takes down Creator 3-2 in the best of 5 semis. We then had Cristiano. Cristiano took down Geralt 3-0. We had the grand final, Shameless 3-0 over Cristiano. GG, well played. A big win there for Shameless. Congratulations for claiming the monthly. Let's go. GG, well played. That leads us into the Water TV Monday number 75. Number 75. Here we had our Open Cup, of course, our regular weekly. We had Max. Max takes down Nice 2-1. Oh, did drop a map. Nice 2-0'd Rogue. Estet, I'm telling you, Nice retired and suddenly he's beaten the top players. Like, he's great. Even taking a map off of Max. That's insane. Estet, nice. Max takes down Nice 2-1, takes down Cure 2-0. Cure is the one that knocked out Clem, by the way. Big win there as Clem took down Showtime, but fell to Cure in the quarterfinals. Este Cure. Max, I'm sure, is very happy to see that Clem was not waiting for him in the semifinals. Max will advance on to face off against Solar and brings him down 3-1. Solar, he went on a tear himself. He 2-1 Hero and he 2-0 Classic. Jesus, he took down the top 2 Protoss players in Korea before eventually falling to Max. Este Solar. GG, well played. Congratulations to Max for claiming the win for becoming this week's champion. GG, well played. That leads us into the Monday Night Weekly number 41. That was later on that evening. This time, Max, he was knocked out earlier. Ooh, he got 2-0'd by Trigger. Trigger, he often does have Max's number. So he got 2-0'd by Trigger in the upper bracket. They actually got eliminated by Trigger. He got 3-0'd by Trigger. That's crazy. Oh my god. Este Trigger. But again, Trigger, he has had a better record over Max in recent weeks. Clem, he gets his revenge. He takes down Cure 2-1 this time. Clem, he takes down a Hero 2-1, and then Hero wins in the rematch. 2-1 over Clem, and then 2-0 in the revive match. GG. GG, well played. Hero with a 4-1 final scoreline over Clem becomes the Monday Night Weekly champion. Congratulations. Oh, congratulations. That leads us into the Pickerstar Cup. Pickerstar Cup number 70. This also did feature a new map pool. Featured Dream and Scars, Lumen, Storm Surge, and Washout. So we did have 4 fresh maps added to the map pool. Dream and Scars was from the previous TLMC tournament. It does make its return here. And we have some new, I believe, patches maps. So new maps from patches. I will say, and I don't mind being vocal about this, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there is a bit of a bias here in the sense that whenever Pickerstar Cup they add some new non-ladder maps, they usually do consult patches, and patches does push his own maps onto this. So this often there's a lot of patches maps here as opposed to other map makers. Personally, I would appreciate if we consulted or if we were able to give the love to some of the other map makers as well. But again, we're often able to feature a lot of patches, like up-and-coming maps. Alongside Dream and Scars, to be fair, Dream and Scars was made by Omni Skeptic. True. Yeah, that often does happen here, which we have noticed. We noticed, man. We noticed. For the previous biggest Cup.
To be fair, I think the biggest reason why is because Patch is one of the most vocal map makers. So.
I agree. Like he is the most I don't know if vocal is the right word, but like he's the most like interconnected, right? Like he's willing to reach out, right? He's willing to reach out. He's willing to work.
Talks to people a lot. Like he organizes events with like various people. Like right now he's about to host an event with Dave Testa. He hosted events with Berry Crunch. Like he's doing a lot of like contributing a lot to the scene in general, not just making maps.
Yeah. Exactly. So as a result of that, he has the benefit of being able to insert his own maps in tournaments like this. That is true. That is that is a benefit for sure. From here we have Clem. Clem takes down Yo-Yo 2-0, takes down Rebellion 2-0, takes down Percival 3-1 to advance on to the grand finals, where he gets knocked down by Hero. Oh my god, Hero doesn't drop a single map. 2-0'd Eggs, 3-0'd Björn, and 3-0'd Clem. Crazy win there from Hero. GG, well played. Hero does claim the final win here. And I don't know if you noticed, fun facts, out of all these weeklies, I believe pure Protoss champions. I don't know if you caught on to that. Specifically this week, let me just double check that. So for Tuna Cup, it was Creator. For the Platinum Heroes Monthly, it was Shameless. For War TV Monday, it was Max. For Monday Night Weekly, it was Hero. And for Pickerstar Cup, it was Hero.
I was just gonna say, oh boy, Reddit is gonna love that.
Now they're used to it. This is normal, unironically. It's common, papi. It's common. But yes, GG, well played. Congratulations here to our champions this week. Congratulations. That leads us into our sign-up list. If you want to take part in some of these tournaments, if you want to be Protoss like all these other guys, if you that exclamation mark sign-up list in the chat. This week we got KSL, we got Sea Ducking Open on the horizon, we got the StarCraft Evolution 2v2 tournament that's also around the corner, we got the Dave Testa Open, which you did mention that Patches is helping to organize, of course. We got the Legends Academy Amateur Showdown, we got Tuna Cups, Legacy Weekly Japans, and many other events. Plenty of tournaments over the course of the next week. If you want to sign up list is available. All the events are named there. We got the countdown timer, we got the challenge pages, we got Discord servers. It's all available there on the sign up list. Best of luck. Take part if you wish. It's all available to you. It's all there. Meanwhile, if you want to support us, if you want to support the CranKy Ducklings, you can do so via the Patreon, exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our events on a regular basis. It funds our amateur events like Master Sworn Open and Sea Ducking Open. It also funds our regular open cups like Sparkling Tuna Cup. It is all funded by the people for the people. So thank you so much to all the supporters that we do have on Patreon, and you can help us grow our tournaments even further via the Patreon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Likewise, if you want to support us in another way, you can do so by following us on all the socials. Again, we have a YouTube channel. All of our VODs are uploaded onto YouTube on a daily basis, so plenty of VODs over on YouTube. Do consider checking it out. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up here for the time being. Again, there was a lot to go through, a lot to go over. We're going to be wrapping up and give some love to another StarCraft 2 streamer that we will give a raid to. Again, Pig is still live. Pig is hosting his event. I think he's still, he's doing the Cero Holdout Challenge. That's currently going on. We'll give some love to Shenjito. Give him some love. Give him some love. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We'll be back next week with the next podcast, and our next stream here on the channel should be in a couple of hours' time. Tomorrow morning should be our catch-up replay coverage of Little League Cup. Little League Cup Group A will be in around 10.5 hours time. 10.5 hours, we'll be live with some more StarCraft. Until then, though, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Ciao. Hasta luego.